Hello! Today I'm going to demonstrate how to make a pair of kids' elasticated waist shorts. This is actually a free pattern that's on my blog, so I'll add a link below so that you can click through and download the pattern. It's sized from 12 months up to 10 years, and you've got two different length options. You've got the short length and a longer length, so it's great for girls and boys. It is obviously a PDF pattern, so if you're not familiar with PDF patterns, there are some instructions on there of how to use the PDF pattern, but basically you'll end up with a series of A4 sheets with some numbers and letters, and once you've cut the pieces down to size and match those up, you'll have your full-size pattern. The instructions for how to make the shorts is also obviously on the blog post as well, but this is just another option for those that prefer to have a video tutorial rather than the blog tutorial. So let's get making. I'm making these in French terry. I sort of designed them and I recommend cotton poplin or crafter's weight cotton's really nice because there's loads of funky prints, so they're great for kids. However, these are for my little boy, and he didn't fancy any of the prints that I've got in my shop at the moment, so he's opted for plain blue in French terry, so they're nice and comfy anyway. But because of that, I've set the machine up with a jersey needle, and I'm going to use a zigzag, a shallow zigzag stitch to sew them together so that the seams have got a little bit of give. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do to start with is put right sides together, and you can start on the front or the back. This just happens to be the back. So right sides together, notches marked, and then I'm going to pin the two together with wool edges matched. There we go. And you can put in as many or as few pins as you feel comfortable, as long as you feel like you can control the fabric when it's under the machine. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and sew that. I'll be able to show you this seam as well. It's got 1.5 centimetre seam allowance on this pattern, so that's a nice decent seam allowance. It's getting caught up there. A bit of a thread jam, that's it. Bit of backward stitching at the start and finish just to secure the seam, and there you go. So can you see that? It's just a slight zigzag, but what happens when you pull it, it just gives that bit of give. So now if these shorts were being worn and they just sort of got caught round, you know, a branch or something when the kids are running around, it's less likely to go into a hole, whereas if this was straight stitching and you pulled that, you'd end up with the snapped stitches and little holes. So that's the purpose of doing that. But they're a loose fitting short. So let's carry on. We're going to do the front the same. So right sides together. There we go. Can you see that? And we can just put a few pins in there to hold that together while we sew it. And now I'm going to join the side seams. So we've got front and back looking like that. And now we're going to put right sides together and join the side seams. And what I'm going to do before I join the under or the inside leg seam is I'm going to zigzag these together so that they're a bit neater, as if they'd been overlocked. You don't have to on jersey because it doesn't fray, but if you were doing cotton I would either zigzag or overlock the raw edges, because then when they're washed any fraying that might occur, you know, if you hadn't zigzagged or overlocked, you might get fraying, and eventually I guess it would fray down to the seam if they lasted that long. But you don't want lots of frayed ends inside your shorts anyway, do you? So this is one of the side seams. So I had planned to do a slightly more complicated project, or the starter one this week. I was thinking of a first tutorial for the Emily dress. However, like I said, I've kind of got, with the hot weather we've been having, my little boy's just been running out of shorts, and they pretty much wear a pair a day. Obviously there's no school uniform at the moment, so I thought this would be quite a good one because you might be in the same position as me. So there we go, one side seam. So the next side seam. I've just realised I didn't put any pins in this side. I mean, you don't have to pin it if you feel confident to just sew it, but you do need to make sure your edges are matched up, and especially with jersey that it's not creeping along, so just check that. But it is quicker if you can work with no pins and straight seams. So there we go. So now it's starting to look like a pair of shorts. You see that, but the inside leg is still open. But while it's like this and that I can get to both ends of the seam, I'm just going to zigzag those two together on all of these full seams that I've just done. I'm going to turn the width up to 3.5 and the length to 3.5 because there's no need for it to be shallow on this. We want to just get those edges together nice and cleanly. So I have been asked if I would do some more, do a tutorial about measuring up, how to find the right size. There is some information on my blog about measuring, especially about measuring children. But if there is anything that you'd like to see me talk about or do a tutorial for, do feel free to let me know, because I kind of want to show the things that you want to see. And obviously there's quite a few tutorials of just specific parts of a garment, so you don't have to watch the whole thing being made. But do please let me know what you'd like to see. So just got one, I think one last seam to do. I'll show you that in a bit more closer detail in a sec. So let's have a look at that. There you go. So it's just right on the very edge. I mean, that's probably, it's nowhere near as neat as doing it with an overlocker, but if you haven't got an overlocker, this is a really good option. It just keeps the seams together, and now what we can do is we can press the seams to one side. So let's just have a look at that. I'm going to turn this way now. So I'm doing this before I've stitched up the inside leg so that I can thread the whole short over the end of the ironing board and press the seams towards the back. Just check my back and front, there we go. So with the centre front and centre back seam, you can either press one way and the other way, especially if it's slightly bulky fabric, that's quite a good idea, or just press them the same way if it's a lighter weight fabric. But the side seams want to go towards the back. So now that I've done that, we can do the inside leg seam. So let's start by matching up your seams. There we go. So put a pin in to hold those together, and then pin from there up to the front or the back, just matching your raw edges. And then the other side. And then we can stitch this. I'm just going to remember to switch the stitch back down to the narrower and shallower zigzag for the first seam. There we go. Show you the side of the pins on. There we go. So I'm going to stitch all the way through there. And then finish the seams the same way as I did for the others. Let's just have a look at that. Now the last thing we've got to do is the elastic channel for the waist and the hems, and you have a pair of shorts as quick as that. Talking about measuring, obviously there's a size chart in the pattern with the sizes that to follow for the right size for your child, but it is worth checking that, because children vary so much. I've got a 10-year-old that's a fair bit smaller than my 8-year-old. So I mean, you know, there isn't a standard size really. I'm just going to finish this edge now. So it's really worth measuring up and see. I think my pattern sizes tend to be a little bit more generous than some. So I know my little boy's school uniform is age 12 and he's 8. But these are the size 10 and they fit him pretty well. So there we go, just trimming off any rogue threads. So you now have a pair of shorts. So I'm just going to trim these threads up and then we're going to do the waist, the channel for the elastic. There we go. So what we're going to do to start with is turn the upper waist edge 1 centimetre. So I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly 1 centimetre, but you want to be just a small turning really, make it manageable, because this is that notch I showed you earlier on the pattern. Let me quickly show you that again. Get this tape measure. So we've got this notch here, which is the fold line, and rather than making that notch, because we've sewn over the edges and we've neatened the edges now, it's hard to see it, so I'm just going to measure. So I'm working to the top one, I think these are all the same anyway, and so I've got 4 centimetres from fold line. So that's going to, if this was the actual shorts, that's going to work like that. So what we can do is we can turn up 1 centimetre and then we've got 3 centimetres, which will form the channel for the elastic. So what that does is it gives you like a 1/2 centimetre movement for the elastic to float around inside. But because these are a thicker fabric, I might just turn it down a little bit more. And it's absolutely fine to do that because you've got plenty of room in these. They're not a skinny fit, so another 5mm is fine. But to start with, we want to just turn down that 1 centimetre. So what I'm going to do is just press round with the iron. And if you were doing these in a crisp cotton, this would be making a really nice sharp edge, but because it's jersey it curls up a little bit. I'll show you in a second. You want to make sure your seams are pressed to the back. Push to the back, because that's the way we press them. So there, let me show you that. So you can see how it's a crease mark, but you can see because it's jersey it's flipping up again. But you can just about see it. So I'm going to keep going, because then what we're going to do is we're going to turn down the other 3 centimetres, but like I said, I'm going to go 3.5 because this is a bulkier fabric, because it relies on you stitching fairly close to the edge here, otherwise you start to narrow this gap and you can't get the elastic in. But let me go all the way around first with my 1 centimetre. And I just do this by eye really. You can check it if you want to, but you're just looking for a very narrow turning. We don't want to make these into anything too complicated. So just a quick fun play short. So I'm all the way around now, so I'm going to now go round that second time, and like I said, I'm folding this down and I'm going to measure as I go and pin it. So I'm just going to grab my pins and start pressing. I'll show you what it looks like. This is worth getting pretty accurate, because this is where, like I said, where the elastic's going to go. If it becomes too narrow, you can't get the elastic in. If it's too wide, then the elastic's floating around inside, kind of being a bit, you know, loose and difficult to manage. I just had a horrible thought then. I hadn't switched the microphone on like last week. Oh, I'm good at doing these videos several times at the moment. Like I said, it's just a bit more tricky to deal with because it's curling, because it's jersey, but just show it who's boss, it will be fine. There's lots of gadgets you can buy with for checking the depth of seams and things like channels for elastic, and some people find those quite useful. I tend to be a pretty much pins and tape measure, tailor's chalk and scissors, and that's my entire toolkit, but not a very gadgety sort of person. But if it helps, then it's great, go for it. So there we go. That's all measured round, 3.5 all the way round. So what we want to do is start at the back. Just the back's the one with the higher, there we go, higher rise. So I sometimes like to put a pin in to show you where, vertically, to show you which way to go, or where to stop and where to start. So where are we there? So if you start at 1, and I try to avoid going over the seams at the very start because it just becomes a bit of a bulky mess. So I'd start just away from the back, centre back seam, and go all the way round and stop here. Reinforce with some good back stitching at both these edges, because this is where we'll put the elastic in, so it will get a bit of pressure from that. So I need to go back to that narrow. I'm still going to stick to the narrow, shallow zigzag stitch. If I can remember what it was. That was it, 2.5 and 2. Because obviously this can still get stretched, so it's better just to be covered. But that's another reason why I've gone slightly deeper on the channel, because I want to. The stitch is obviously deeper by being a zigzag. And you've got the extra bulk of the fabric, so I just want to ensure that my elastic's going to go in properly. So I'm going to start there. I'm not going to sew over the pin, but just start at that pin. A bit of zigzag stitching there, and then if you can find a guideline on your guideline grid on the machine, that will help you keep it looking nice and straight and on the outside as well, keep it nice and even. that pin. Take it out and stop there. So there we go. So we've got a gap there where we're going to put the elastic inside. So you can trim these. I just trim these threads off because we're going to, once with the elastics in, we're going to sew this closed, and it gives us another chance to just go over that stitching again and reinforce it, so it's nice and strong. Let's just trim these threads. And then, so for the elastic, there are, like I said, waist measurements, generic waist measurements on the pattern, but I prefer, if you can, measure your child. So this is elastic that I cut. I put this around his waist earlier and got him to feel where it's comfortable. So get them to bend around a bit, pin it together, and just see if that feels comfortable. Because again, children vary so much. Sometimes they like to have it a little bit loose, sometimes people like to have it firmer, so you know, just go with what they're comfortable wearing really. Some people like to wear it lower down on their hips. So I'm just going to put a safety pin in one end and then thread that into the channel. So all being well, the channel should up there. So I've got the pin here, and I'm just going to use the pin head to feed round inside the channel like that. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going. What you can do is you can pin the other end of this to stop it, just pin it randomly onto the short somewhere to stop it pulling inside if you're worried about it. But I'm just going to pretty much go for this all the way around. Where you get to a seam, you might have to just fiddle around a bit and make sure it's going through the middle, because it can sort of block up against the back of the seam. So this will be where I lose the end, won't it? That'll serve me right for not pinning it. So once your elastic comes out the other end, just feed enough of it inside so that you can check that the elastic is still flat, not twisting. Because then what we want to do, and take the safety pin out actually. Ooh, stuck. Just put a pin in for a second. So we want to lay the elastic on top of the other thing. I've allowed roughly an inch to overlap, but I'm just going to pin the two together like that and just check, move this around and just check that that is lying flat and it hasn't twisted, because where it comes out it quite often looks a bit weird, but I think we're good there. So I'm going to go back to the machine now and just sew this. So you can sew round in a box, you can just sew it all over it. It doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as it's nice and strong. So I'm going to stick to the zigzag stitch. I'm just going to sew that into a box. Make sure your edges are flush, otherwise you'll have like a little ledge in the elastic. Go, that's nice and strongly stitched together, so we can, so just a bit of a wonky, it doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it's nice and strong, and that's not going to, stitches are not going to come undone, that's absolutely fine. So let's just trim off a few of those. And now we can let the elastic go back inside the shorts. So just pull that round, give it a good stretch like that, and there we've got that little gap just left to sew up. So if you just flatten that open so that you can go back and stitch from one end to the other, and like I said, just go over the stitching just a few stitches and back stitch again so that that's nice and strong, and then literally all we've got left to do is the hems. Let's sew that first. Make sure you don't catch the elastic when you're doing this. You need to make sure that's nice and clear. But hopefully the measurements, you can see how the elastic fits fairly well inside that channel. It's got a little bit of movement but not too much. And there's the gap closed. So now the hems. So if these were sort of standard poplin cotton, what I would do is I'd probably do, I'm trimming all this off because they're just quick play shorts. I don't want to spend ages pulling threads through on these because they're just quick and easy. So like I said, if with these were cotton poplin, I'd turn these, do a double turned hem. So I'd turn once about 1 centimetre and then I'd turn again about 1.5. But I think it's a little bit bulky if on jersey to do double turned hems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do quite a deep 3 centimetre hem, and I'm only going to turn it once, and I'm going to go with a zigzag stitch around here on and off the edge so it kind of makes it really nice and flat. So the first thing is I'm just going to press that up, so measuring round 3 centimetres from the raw edge to the fold. If you've got a sleeve press, that's quite a good time to use it. You could thread that on and just rotate round. I don't happen to have mine here at the moment, so I'm just going to do it flat, but especially if you're doing smaller sizes. But again, I'm just checking as I go. I always have the wrong end of the tape measure, so I'm just going to check as I go. 3 centimetres and pin it. Let's just check which way that's going. I like to check which way the seams are pressed to make sure they're not twisting. Oops. When they're stitched into the hems. So just checking as I go round. There we go. Nearly there. On hem number 1 anyway. And then I might as well prepare the other one, and then we can just sew the 2 hems at one time. It's just curling up a little bit. I felt quite inspired by last week's Sewing Bee, where they were upcycling, and yesterday I had a bit of a wardrobe sort out and found a few things that I'd made over the years that I probably won't wear again, so I'm going to try and upcycle them into shorts for my little girl, who also wears these all through the summer. I'll show you in a minute. So again, I'm just checking the way the seam lies, and then checking my 3 centimetre depth, pressing round. I tend to do like a little batch make of these before, if one is allowed to go on holiday in the summer, that is, before a summer holiday, so that the kids have got 3 or 4 pairs. And you can, if you cut them all out and say you've got like white based prints, you can just do part 1 on all 4 pairs, and it's even, you know, it's a really quick process. You can probably make 4 pairs in less than an hour. So there we go, got that all pinned all the way round. So I'm going to take off the flatbed to sew these, because you can feed them onto the arm. Turn up my stitch, because I want this to be a deeper zigzag this time, so more like the edge finishing zigzag size. So I'm going 3.5 and 3.5. And then if your cutting's not perfect, use one of the gauges again on the sewing machine, so that on the outside, if you're following that gauge, it's all going to be nice and neat on the outside as well. So let's just start a little bit away from the seam. Oh, run out of bobbin. Oh, well, luckily I do believe I have another bobbin of the same colour, so not too bad. After I wound the bobbin, I realised it was the thread that I used for the first Angie top that I did last week, so that's why I ended up with 2 bobbins the same colour. So let's have a look at that. So there, can you see that? So I've kind of stitched right on the very edge, so it's made it really flat, and on the outside it's like that. So just really neat flat hem. So let's do the other one, and then we have a finished pair of shorts. Go. So I'm going to trim those up in a second, but let's just turn them through and see what we've got. Like I said, these are the longer length shorts. And there we go. Just a simple pair of fun play shorts. So, yeah. All finished. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me just quickly show you what I pulled out. So these I found in my wardrobe. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough fabric, but I can't remember. I did something wrong with these and the fit wasn't great. But my daughter is a massive bird lover, so I thought I'd try and make these into a pair of short shorts for her. And then I also found this dress, which I love, but even though I kind of really love it, it's got this amazing border, look at that. I kind of think I mean, I don't really do ageist stuff, but I do kind of think I'm a bit old for it now. So I'm going to try and make that into at least one pair of shorts, because I think they'd be really cute with that on the border, wouldn't they? And she could just wear a simple single colour t-shirt with it. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll come back next week, and do let me know if there's anything you'd like me to demonstrate from my pattern range. So see you soon. Thank you.